Right, in a previous video I showed assembling this little board with a river on it, and what I'd like to talk about in this video is how I would make one of these, what I call an RU hex. It's got a kind of a U-bend in the river, same as this one here. And I've shown how to make river hexes before, but I've not talked about this particular piece here, which can be a bit fiddly to make, so I thought it'd be worth showing a video to show just how it's done with the toolkit. Okay, let me just set up this camera. Okay. And we're going to need a couple of hex blanks, which I've cut down to 7.5mm. To cut the outer part of the hex, we're going to need this jig. And what I'll do, so for any of these river curves, because the plywood, if you're running a wire along the top of the plywood, there's always a risk you might snag a fibre of the wood and get cut and get caught in it. So I'd recommend that you sort of round off these corners with a bit of sandpaper. It only takes a minute to do. When I say corners, the edge you're going to cut along, round that off with some sandpaper, and it'll stop you from snagging. Right. I'll put my blank into the jig, and notice when I've assembled this jig, I've put the pins closest to the edge upside down to make sure that the head isn't going to snag the wire as it comes past, which it might do otherwise, probably would do. Okay, so that's in place. I'm just going to cut that out. I notice that there's a slight overhang on the jig, which will allow me to get my wire lined up before I start cutting. Okay, so done. So there's one minor mistake there, which I'll fix. There we go. So that's the outer part of the curve, and now I'll do the inner part. And for that I'm going to need a different jig. So I've assembled this, and this is the piece we're going to need. I've always said this can be a bit fiddly, and indeed it is. I know some people have found other ways of doing this, because it's quite a simple shape you're trying to make, really. It's just there's a triangle. I've got one here I've made previously. That's the piece we're trying to make. Pretty small, and it's just got a triangular section on each side, and an arc around it. So that's what we're trying to make. Now I've got quite a nice tight fit on here, so this piece is holding itself in. If for some reason yours is a bit loose, you know, to pinch with your fingers if you've got hand free, or you get a tight rubber band that will go around here and hook the two together. I've not found that necessary. These have always been a tight fit for me, but that's a way you could work around it if you do have a slightly looser fit. And place this on the top here. And it's always worth, any time you've got an offcut with a corner, right? You know, just cut to the right angle. What's that? 60-degree angle, 120-degree angle. Sorry, 120-degree angle. Then it's worth hanging on to it, because because this is fiddly, it's quite easy to get it wrong. And if you've got a few offcuts, you can make a few mistakes, and it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to, oops. In fact, what I'm going to do, to make this a bit easier, is I'm going to reduce the size of this piece. So just a rough cut. Okay, let's see what we've done. So that's the piece in the centre there, and you see you've got these kind of spurs coming off the side, and that pretty much always happens on your first pass. That's not a problem. I'll put it back in again, and now we can get much closer in and see exactly what we're doing. We can remove those quite easily. Either partially or fully. And same the other side. Okay, see if you're happy with that, because this is a perfect template for what you're trying to achieve. So I can see it's still a little bit proud here and there, so I'll have another. I'll do just remove these extra bits I don't want, pass it through a piece of foam. So it's about right. What I'll do, if I've got a knife somewhere to cut off the little edge that's left over. Okay. Put that on. So it's really quite a small piece. If you find you have too many tooling marks, you may be able to sand it or just put some filler on it. Glue those pieces on, press it down, and that's your RU hex. Hopefully you can see that okay. Okay, thank you.